My name is Marcus and welcome to Tabletop Reviews, where we are entering December now. And I've decided to make December Lord of the Rings month here on my channel, because I have a whole bunch of Lord of the Rings games that I want to get through. And we're starting off here today with Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth. It's this tiny little card game right here. It takes a short amount of time to play. So let's get to the table, see how it's set up and how it's played. Alright, Battle for Middle-earth. Let's get this small box open here. Please open. There we go. Alright, so you have a little board with this one. And I say a little bit, folds out to be about 6 times the size. You put that in the middle here, and then you bring out the cards, and these have probably been shuffled up a bit, so give me just 2 seconds here. Alright, so you have all the enemy cards with the eye on the back, so looking like that. You will shuffle those, put them in the enemy deck, and flip over the top 3 here to the first, second and third position. Now some of them have written on the back here, Captain. This can affect some abilities of other cards. Other than that, it's not really important. Alright, and then you have all the good guy cards with the rings on the back. There's also some Mordor cards with rings on the back. We'll talk about what those do in a second, but you shove this up and deal 3 to each player. And then you would take all of the cards with Mordor on it and shuffle into the deck. I'm just not going to do that right now. And the game is pretty basic. You want to defeat as many opponents, enemies as possible, and they grant you the points that they say at the top. The way to defeat them is by having these symbols down here in your grouping or your fellowship. So what you will do on your turn is you will take out your cards here, and you will either draw from the ring deck, or you will play a card into a fellowship or creating a new fellowship. And you of course want to attack those and have symbols that match. But no matter what, all the cards in your fellowship die. So you could probably do this one here, because then you have the yellow, the red and the orange to take this card, but obviously you also have 3 symbols at the top that are lost. Now you can only play 1 card at a time, or draw 1 card at a time. This is a special symbol that counts for everything, and it also comes with an ability. When you put a card down, you're also immediately allowed to attack if you can. And you can attack as many as you want. So I mean, if I had, for example, this right here, this fellowship here, I would have, as I said, the red, orange and yellow to take care of Gorbag. But I would also have the purple, green and extra green to take Gorfmog. This way there's only 1 symbol that is lost, and I get 12 points from my fellowship. Throughout it you might also draw up these Mordor cards, and as they come out they will slowly roll over, and if they reach here, let me just reset it, well, there is a counter attack, and whatever it says here happens. In this case it is discard a card from your hand. You can also clear a card, discard a card from a fellowship, or even lose a points card. Then this card will go up here, these 2 will go into the discard pile, this one will go up here, and you will of course reset your enemy line, continuing where you left off. Yeah, when this deck is empty, the game is over, you count up points, whoever has the most points win. And there you go, that's the game. Shouldn't be too long, it's a fairly short and fine game. Let's talk about the gameplay. I mean, the setup first of all is incredibly easy. You have a little little board, and then you have just a bunch of cards that need to be distributed. The gameplay is fine. Limited, you either add to your fellowship or create a fellowship, or you draw a card, trying to match the symbol of your enemies to score the most amount of points. And then from time to time you have these counter attacks that are happening. To be honest, I think the counter attacks are just there to speed up the game. That's kind of what it feels like. Other than that, there isn't really any point to it. I will say there is quite a lot of counterattack cards, so when you're shuffling them in, it's easy to have multiple in a row, meaning that you will go correctly in the first, going through the deck the first time, you quickly get to those, and then have some counter attacks. It can really bite you in the ass. It can be a serious punishment to get a counter attack. Right? You can just have gotten started on your fellowship with a pretty good card. Now you have to get rid of it. Or even remove a point card. One thing we figured out that could happen, and immediately me and another guy who had all we had were 10-point cards. We were like, okay, we need some lower scoring cards, otherwise we lose a bunch of points. So there's something with that one. Maybe it happens a little bit too often, or maybe we were just unfortunate. That could also be what happened. But the gameplay is good, I think. You have these special symbols that count for everything with some special abilities, but you give your opponent some points. Interesting enough in that one. Otherwise, it's just a color match to fight off the enemies of Middle Earth, right? All the orcs and trolls and whatnot that are in there. It's a fine gameplay. Like there isn't much to it. But I really like it. And this thing of you can create a kind of fellowship as you want. You can only attack with one, multiple enemies. How do you create that? It was something constantly need to remind them that, like, make a choice. You can have more than one. You know, who do you want to mix together and stuff. So gameplay is perfectly fine. I liked it. It was fast. It just maybe I don't know if I would have the enemy cards, because that would extend the amount of time it plays. But I think it could be better if you halved the enemy cards. So yeah, let's talk about components in here. The little board is fine. I think it's a little bit weird to have such a big board. It's a relatively big board for such a small box. You really have to fold it. I don't know, like, I bought this from new, but it's obviously from 2013, I think. I think if you play with it more and more, there's a chance you might ruin it, but for now it's a good board, and I like that it says position 1, 2, 3, just to give you that little bit extra help to remember these are the positions. And then you have the cards. I actually like the cards. Normally I don't like cards that are less or larger or smaller than regular post-size card, and these are a bit smaller, so that is always a bit of annoyance to me. But I like them. They feel really good in hand. They feel like good quality cards. Like, I did not expect that from this small little cheap game, to have cards that felt that good in hand. And of course you have the artwork, and I have to talk about the artwork, because, again, something I did not expect from such a small, inexpensive game was for it to have very specific artwork. Like, yeah, you can see that it's based probably around the movies. It does say based on the novels, but I think the artwork is inspired in large part by the movies. I can kind of feel that. But it is 100% artwork. It isn't just taken from shots of the movie and painted or something. It is specifically just painted specifically for the cards. And I love that. I think it's incredible that you get that from this tiny little cheap box, that you get specific artwork on cards that feel quite good in hand. I love it. That is amazing to me, that you get that. Now we have to discuss the theme, and I don't really think it's there. Like, you have these random symbols, and the people who have special symbols, like, some make sense, like the Ents. Okay, you have the Joker symbol, which is called it. You have the Hobbits. I guess that makes sense as well. Then you have Celebrimbor, I believe. Does that make sense that he has that one when all the other elves doesn't? And it isn't like, I don't really think even on the enemy cards, the symbols that are on there has an overlap. Like, the orcs have random stuff on them, human, elves and dwarves have random stuff on it. When I say dwarves, I mean Gimli's the only dwarf. So maybe if they'd done a little bit of that, it would have been more interesting. It's just like making, the orange symbol is dwarves, and the green is the elves, and the blue is the humans. Something along that line, and then Gandalf as the wizard had multiple. I don't know. It's just, there wasn't really anything done to have the theme be more than just the artwork. And of course, I guess all the text in the thing, you are creating fellowships. So the theme is there, it's nice, the artwork helps a lot, but in terms of the gameplay, there isn't really something there to make it thematic. I mean, you guys can say the fellowship does split eventually, so it makes sense you can have multiple. Yeah, but in the end, it's fine. It's a fine little game. So, does it lie to you? And right here on the back of the box it says for 2 to 4 players, 30 minutes playing time, ages 8 to adult. That's what it says, age 8 to adult. What is adult? Ages, you could just have written ages 8 and up. Yeah, whatever. 2 to 4 players. We played at 3, which is fine. 4 is probably fine as well. 2 is fine as well. It's a fine game at these player sizes. You will score more points at 2 and less points at 4. Probably have a mortar attack earlier in the 4-player game. Or you will, so that could result in you getting to do less things. It could be more annoying. It could be more annoying that way. 30 minutes playing time, fairly accurate. Yeah, 20-30 minutes. That's fairly. It's about where it is. You go through it pretty quickly. You'll constantly be drawing and playing, and yeah, in the end you might sit there and, you know, going wishing for some very lucky things, or that might extend a little bit. But 30 minutes is fairly accurate. Ages 8 to adult. Yeah. Is this those kind of games where I would say 10, just because you have, I mean, it is simple matching, but you have this thing of, you know, you have to assemble the fellowships, and all of a sudden something bad could happen. I believe the lower in age you are, the bad things could be more perceived in a different way. But yeah, whatever. I mean, age is always the one where I don't know. So, the final score for this game is going to be a 7 out of 10. As I said, I like it. The gameplay is fine. I think it's fun. It doesn't last too long. It lasts about the time you want it to last. And you have amazing artwork and really great art. I really like the artwork. But it does lose out based on the theme. You could have done just a little bit more of the theme and all. But yeah, it's a fine little Lord of the Rings game. And am I keeping it? I believe I am. I could see this getting played again at some point, because it is, again, simple and quick to get played. So I'm keeping this one. And that is the beginning of the Lord of the Rings month here in December. I'm going to go through multiple reviews. I'm going to be comparing and probably doing a ranking list as well. So, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!